Hello everyone, it's Silvia from Tarot. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to do a little bit of unboxing of all of these tarot and oracle decks. We're also going to have a look at a few things that I bought at the Mind, Body, Spirit Festival in Sydney. Let's have a look. Sydney Festival brings you the very best in health, wellness and spiritual guidance, and it's the largest of its kind. You can learn from over 190 exhibitors, attend free inspirational seminars, stock up on crystals, book yourself a psychic reading, indulge in some body pampering, watch free stage performances and live psychic demonstrations, and you can also join a free seminar and taste some delicious health food. So you can see here, for example, there is the rock pool stand with all the new tarot and oracle decks. I have to say, during the years, I actually spent so much money on this stand, and the girls are generally lovely. But sometimes I think that there is some new faces, but some also, luckily, some old faces that I recognize every time. And it's always very nice to see all of these decks all together in the same place. And what I really appreciate is that they hold all of the boxes open so that you can actually have a look at the cards. So you guys, as I said, it's very interesting. There's a lot of people beelining for the psychic readings. You can actually book a reading on the spot, but there's also some sound healing sessions which are very, very powerful that I enjoyed very much. And I met with a lot of really interesting people. So for example, this is In Harmony Design, and you can see how beautiful these creations are. So they work with the sacred geometry, as you can tell, with the alignment of the chakras, for example. There's also a little carvings of, the major arcanas of the tarot decks, but you can find pretty much anything you want. There's also custom designs as well. Another really lovely lady that I met is Diamante from Divine Soul Energies. And we've talked about pretty much our heritage because she's also Italian and she lives in an area close to mine, and she is really, really crafty. All of this that you can see here is her own creation. These are really beautiful objects that, they hold a lot of energy as well. And as always, for all these stalls, you can see the QR code in here. For example, the ones that she says is the most popular product, and the dream catcher and the sun catchers. Okay, so first I want to talk about this deck. This is called Lucid Dreaming, Lucid Living. The authors are Norma J. Burton and Nisha Burton. Your Oracle and Guide to Mastering the Dreamscape, forward by Philip Cargom. And this is a Red Wheel release publication. Now, I was really excited when I saw this deck because it was on my wish list for a while. I don't think it's, I think it's just been released in Australia because I couldn't actually find, I think it's not even available on Amazon yet. But in any case, I will put the links of all of the decks that I'm going to show you today, and also all of the stores that I've been visiting, where I even bought stuff from. I will make sure to link them in the description box below, because I really believe in, if you like what you're seeing and you want to get it, or if you live in Australia. By the way, Mind, Body, Spirit Festival is a twice a year event. So if you missed out this October, just don't worry, because there's going to be another one in May next year. And I have to say, I have been going to this festival, as I said before, for many, many years. And it's always wonderful because it's like going back home. It's like meeting up with friends. So it was a wonderful experience today as well, on the last couple of days as well. So getting back to this deck, I just saw the images, and to be honest with you, I already have a really good dream interpretation deck, which is published by Welbeck, I think. But when I saw this one, I thought that where the Welbeck deck covers more like the symbology of your dreams, this one actually helps you connect to a a state of mind which is more referred to as trance or dreaming. So that's why I was really interested when I saw the title. So Lucid Dreaming, Lucid Living. So to me, it's not necessarily a deck that is, you know, made for you to interpret your dreams, but it is a kind of deck that will help you get yourself into that kind of atmosphere or trance, which is very conducive in many cases. So it's a really nice 2-part box, and it looks like this is literally an unboxing. As you can see, it was totally wrapped, and I have no idea you know, what I'm going to find, because as a matter of fact, I only saw a couple of images online, and you know, and it's, you know, I kind of know what I like by now, but I still make mistakes every now and then. So this is a very first impression. It's a very beautiful book. It's got about 190 pages, 91. So it's fully colored, and there's a really nice size thumbprint of the card for each and every card. There's a couple of pages. This is actually the card that is here on the cover of the book. That's what it says here. Sleep on it. Okay. All right, fair enough. The dreamer comes upon a fork in the road, unsure of which path to take. She pauses at this junction and studies the dream symbols for inspiration and clear direction. And then it's got some lucid dreaming teaching and lucid living message. It's got a few keywords as well. In this case, we've got choice, decisions, fork in the road. Yes, we got that in the guidance. No wrong decisions. That's important. I like that. No wrong decisions. Just go with your guts and problem solving. And at the end, we also have the possibility to read the cards in as reversed. So we've got that too, which is always very interesting. Let's see if there's something else, like, for example, an introduction, of course. Well, I'm already excited because I see the thumbprints of the cards, and I really like them. It reminds me a little bit of a couple of oracle decks that I saw publishing by Blue Angel recently. I don't have them yet. Preparing for lucid dreaming. So it is definitely that kind of experience that I was looking for. Lucid dreaming. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but there's a lot of let's say resorts, places, for example, in Australia, along the northern coast of New South Wales towards Byron Bay, for example. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's a very nice community, Byron Bay. But there's also a lot of resorts in California, for what I could see, and Arizona and New Mexico, where they actually practice you know, what is called lucid dreaming. So it's a kind, you bring yourself into a state of semi-consciousness in which you reach for your subconscious. Obviously, there's a lot of slang and terms and words that point at different things, but basically what we want to achieve with lucid dreaming is more consciousness, more awareness, getting back in touch with ourselves. This is a first impression, so I don't necessarily know whether this is referring to what I just explained. This is my experience with lucid dreaming, and this is a first impression, so obviously it could be something completely different. But let's have a look at the cards. So, are you dreaming? Dream with lucidity. Are you awake? Live with lucidity. That's what it says on the sides. And I thought there was a card, but actually it's not a card. So it's a first look, it's not a very chunky deck. Let's see, does it say how many cards we've got in here? It doesn't say here. Yeah, 44 color cards and 200-page full color guidebook. I'm okay with 44. It's my limit number. I always like when a deck is chunky. I really like when we've got 60 or 70 cards, but 44 is absolutely fine. It is a beautiful cardstock. It's the kind of cardstock that I really love. It reminds me a little bit when you go like that. Can you hear that? So the tactile feel of this cardstock is very similar to the same to the experience you get when you use, for example, the Earthborn Oracle Tarot. So it is a bit papery, but it's very sturdy. You can tell it's got a really good bounce. It's matte. There's, for what I can see, at first look, there's a lot of skies here, which I really, really like. But let's have a look at. And it's gilded, gold gilded. It feels like it's a soft gilding, even though it is a glossy one. But it's not one of those gilding that eventually gets chipped. Even though, as I said, never used it before, so I cannot vouch for that. These are the backs, and obviously you can also use them for reversals. And let's have, it starts from number 44, so it goes back from the last one to the first one, which is fine because I'm gonna do like this. So let me see if I can zoom in and just show you the cards quickly. So this is just an unboxing, and I just want to give you my very first impressions of this deck, and I have to say that so far I really like it, and I'm already thinking about what to pair it with, because you know me, I'm always thinking about what deck, what tarot deck. If I'm presenting an oracle deck, I'm already thinking about a tarot deck I could pair it with, or perhaps 2 oracle decks. I'm not too strict. Solid structures. That's beautiful. Digital interface. So we were talking about this with the deck creator today, that everyone is on their phones, and it was crazy because as a matter of fact, what happened was that the pavilion, so where the ICC, the International Center for Communication in Sydney, this is where the festival is, but because it's really, let's say you have to go down the stairs, it's in a quite, not a secluded place, but let's say it's the reception is not 100%. You don't have full bars on your phone. What happens is that you see a lot of people even taking the stairs to go down on their phone, and then you know, when they enter the hall, they switch it off because they eventually lose signal. And I think that it's actually a good thing, because in this case, you know, you're kind of forced to, instead of looking at your phone, you're forced to look around you and see how the beautiful people that are there. This feels like a very cosmic kind of deck, and this is an absolutely gorgeous card. So Nightmare Rewrite. Okay, I am all for it. So this is what I was talking about. So lucid dreaming is to get in touch with yourself, and many of the practices that you can do is, for example, if you are afflicted by a recurring nightmare, and I can assure you, after the pandemic, I've had a lot of people coming to me. We were talking, you know, reading tarot, but also talking about healing processes, and every single one, not every single one of them, but many of them say that I have a lot of recurring nightmares, myself included. I used to have a recurring nightmare, and then I did something to heal that part of myself that obviously wasn't healed. But let's just have a look at what it says here. So this is card number 6, Nightmare Rewrite. So we just go here to card number 6, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so a skeleton sits meditating on the transformation from bones to spirit. The fear of death dangles over its head like a black widow spider. In its hand is the blue lotus flower used by Egyptian magi to connect to the dream time. The skeleton finds peace in the fact that there is nothing to fear. It is already dead, and so no further harm can come to it. Okay, keywords: resolution or duality, transforming fear behind the veil, heightened awareness. Lucid dreaming teaching: when you awaken to the reality that you are dreaming, let your fears lift. No matter what frightful dreams come, be they your monsters chasing you or humans trying to hurt you, ultimately no harm can come to you. You cannot die in the dream realms. Okay. So perhaps there's a lot, the nightmare rewrite technique, that could be interesting. But best perform when you wake up from a nightmare in the middle of the night. Have an opportunity to continue sleeping so that you can go back into the dream. Does that happen to you? Because I've actually heard of people doing that, that they they wake up and then they go back to sleep and they re-enter the same dream. But that has actually never happened to me. I may start dreaming again, but it's not the same dream. And I've always been very jealous of people doing that, because it really gives you the opportunity of bringing a little bit of consciousness to the dream. And if it's a nightmare, that's where the rewriting happens, when you can actually apply, when you can ground yourself and apply that consciousness. To perform a nightmare rewrite, utilize the natural obsession your mind has with nightmares to your benefit. When you wake from a nightmare, notice how your mind keeps returning to the frightful imagery and scenes. Resist the urge to work yourself into a traumatized state. Instead of allowing your mind to replay the terror repeatedly, focus it on finding a resolution. And then it gives you a bit of an idea of what to do, you know, close your eyes, lay your bed, return to the vision, etc. I actually really believe in this. It is a mindful state of meditation, which is very, very useful if you do it the correct way. Of course, I don't necessarily think that just being mindful will help you get rid of a recurring nightmare. But I do believe that you need to face them sooner or later, because it's the expression of the subconscious. So I'm actually quite happy to have found this deck, because it's not just really beautiful, but it's actually very, very powerful, you know, to do these kind of things. Recurring dreams again, levels of lucidity, dream signs, for example, that's very important as well. And also, let me tell you, dream recall, it sounds like it's, you know, not a big thing, but it's, you couldn't imagine a number of people I met that cannot remember their dreams. I don't remember 100% of them, but I certainly remember the important ones. So what about you? Because I'm actually curious. I always ask people if they remember the dreams, and the standard answer seems to be, I do remember, you know, some of them, the scary ones and the really joyful ones, but generally speaking, we don't remember all of the dreams we have. But there's actually people who do not remember anything. And that's, I think it's a bit sad, because it's like not listening to what your subconscious is doing. And granted, sometimes dreams are just complete garbage. I mean, sometimes we really dream stupid stuff. But some other things, you know, they come up to the surface and they need to be addressed one way or another. So this is a really beautiful deck. So Lucid Dreaming, Lucid Living, your Oracle and Guide to Mastery the Dreamscape, Norma J. Burton and Nisha Burton. Absolutely stoked that I found this one. And let's move on to another deck. Let's have a look at this one. I know that this is not a surprise for anyone, because I've seen it in many, many channels and many Instagram accounts and Facebook, and it's been on sale for a while. Now, I hope I'm not making a mistake. I think that first it was an indie deck, so it was published as an indie deck, and then Hay House picked it up mass market. Charlie Claire Burgess or Burgess, sorry, I'm always very bad at pronouncing names. As I said, by Hay House, Tarot Beyond Binaries. I really love this opportunity for tarot to actually express diversity. It's one of the best ways, unless you're a writer and you write a book, of course, or you're a creator and you create, I don't know, a documentary or something like that. But when you're actually creating a work of art, that's where you have the possibility to express diversity and appreciation for that. And I really, really like that. So again, this is an unboxing. So even though I've seen this tarot deck many times before, I've never had it. So let's have a look. I like the mass market edition. I know that a lot of people don't like Hay House cardstock. I'm actually not against it. It could be worse, in the sense that it could be really shiny, you know, it could be really glossy, catching the light at every turn. So that I really do not like. If just to give an example, 2-3 years ago, that was the go-to cardstock for rock pool decks, for example. Really shiny, you know, catching the light all the time. But generally speaking, other publishers have been really good in listening to the tarot community, because, you know, our tarot community is not just made of tarot readers or tarot collectors. It's also because we are online. There are platforms showing tarot and oracle decks everywhere, not just YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and what have you. So obviously, when you're filming or taking photos, there's also, you know, the requirements for a deck to be, let's say, not to be a pain, let's put it this way, to take a photo of. And this one being matte, obviously it does not catch the light. It's actually very porous, and I really like it. I really enjoy, as I said, for the Lucid Dreaming deck, I really enjoy this kind of tactile feel, which is very easy to recognize, because when you do this kind of movement with 2 cards, that's the noise that they make. This is not edged nor gilded, which is probably making me think that I want to try my hand to it, but I don't necessarily know yet what color. I will probably use a linen color. I'm not sure. Anyway, so that's gorgeous. I really like the symbology. So, okay, this deck, I don't know why I didn't buy it before. Probably because I used to see it all the time in somebody else's channel, in somebody else's Instagram, and I thought I was having already a conversation with this deck, even though I did not have it. But then, you know, I thought, yeah, hang on a second though, I really want to, you know, work with it, not just see it. I want to appreciate it for the energy that it can give me, if it can. Obviously, I did not know that. I love this moon card, so beautiful. And so I thought, you know, at the end of the day, I thought to myself, just get it. It was a really reasonable price. And that's where I had the really lovely conversation with Lee. So I got the 5th Spirit Tarot, but also the Lucid Dreaming, Lucid Living, and also the Healing Spirits Oracle, which I will show you later, from the same, let's say, the same store. It's wholesaler.com.au. And that's where I had the opportunity to have a lovely conversation with Lee from the company itself, and also from Rose Tilly, and she has been absolutely lovely to me. Both of them have been absolutely lovely to me, and I have to say, everyone else, you know, that was there every time that I was explaining to them that I have a YouTube channel and an Instagram account, and I really wanted to just have a chat about what's going on in the tarot and oracle world, in the spiritual world in Australia, because we feel that there is this really big change going on. And it's obviously, there's a lot of things that when you speak to a business owner, obviously you gather the point of view of the business owner, and which is absolutely fine. And it's something that I think it's unheard of, because we are the ones that are buying the decks, we're using the decks, we're reading with the decks. But it's also important to understand how the industry is doing, you know. And I've always been interested in this, because I always believe that when we have the final product in our hands, we don't necessarily know what the process was behind it. So from the creator, what happened when the creator was contacted by a mass market publishing company, you know, how did they approach the creator? Were there changes, for example, that were applied to the decks? And then what happens when the final product is released? Do they use, you know, wholesalers? Do they use distributors? Do they use, or do they sell directly to retail? It's always very interesting, because that's where you understand, for example, why a certain deck is more expensive than another one, because of the production costs that are involved. I love this Knight of Pentacles. So where was I? I think it was Mount Fuji. I was climbing Mount Fuji like a million years ago. I saw a lady with a titanium leg, and she was she was running uphill, I was really stoked, and I thought that is absolutely fantastic to see. So as I was saying, it's always really important to have the point of view of each and every stakeholder in this business, not just us, because it's a bit limiting. You know, if we just, for example, we see a deck and we feel like it does not necessarily meet our needs. We say that all the time. Whenever there's a deck that we don't like for one reason or another, we're very vocal about what we like and dislike in a deck. But it's interesting, I believe, to understand, for example, why a certain deck has larger borders, for example. And most of the time you will see, if you speak to the creator, if you speak to the publisher, you will see that there's a reason behind many of the choices that have been made. And so perhaps, you know, and of course we are still entitled to say whether we like a deck or not, or whether we feel that it's responding to our needs or not, but we also need to take different point of views into consideration. So this is the 5th Spirit Tarot, and I'm not gonna spend too much time on it. This is the guidebook. I'm very happy there's a lot of writing on the minor arcanas as well, which is not always the case for a mass market deck. I don't mind that there are no thumbprints of the cards. It's fine, because, you know, it tells you that's the 8 of Cups, it's the 9 of Cups, etc. Beautiful deck, really, really interesting. I can't wait to start working with it. I know that I'm a bit behind on the train because obviously everyone else has got this deck, but, you know, I just saw it today and I knew that was the right time for me to actually get it. And it means that before that, I didn't feel like it was the right time. So the other deck that I bought at the wholesaler.com.au was this, the Healing Spirit Oracle by Gordon Smith, and the artwork is by Naomi Walker. And this is actually a 48 card deck. It's a Hay House again, so all Hay House, okay. Hay House publication again. Now this deck, I believe it was the last copy that they had, so it was the display copy, but it came perfectly fine, no damages whatsoever. So, and I was quite happy to get it, and it's still in order, as you can see. Now this is so the Healing Spirits. The reason why I wanted this deck was because I probably showed you on my channel a couple of weeks ago the Devas of Creation by Cilla Conway, and that is a fantastic deck. It's absolutely gorgeous, wonderful, really beautiful artwork. If you have her Shimmering Veil Tower, you will understand it's very similar. The Devas of Creation is slightly different. It is an oracle. However, I do believe that it's so intuitive, and it doesn't even have keywords, for example. And somehow I felt like for my personal practice, I needed an additional oracle deck to pair up eventually with the Devas of Creation, just to, you know, probably delve even deeper into that intuition that was generated by the images from the Devas. Now I thought this would have been, you know, the right deck to do that. This is a first impression, so obviously I haven't done any work with it yet. I can see here that it's okay, so it's got the number of the card. So for example, but let me show you the deck first, because otherwise a really lovely cardstock, by the way. Honestly, it is still Hay House, but it's a completely different. This is more like rose petal, but it's not the rose petal that is really sticky. As you can see, I have no problem in sliding the cards, and it's not gilded nor edged, and I probably will do something. So these images are really beautiful. They're really evocative as well. And so for example, I like to read the messages. You have the power to make yourself better. Share the gift. It is trying to move forward. Natural healing power. Send out help to others. Heal the past and fix tomorrow. So as you can see, they're very, I want to say abstract, but then, you know, I look at this and this is not abstract. Let's say they're very evocative. All these images are very evocative. There is a little bit of that kind of brushstroke that is a bit abstract. I really love the combination of the color palette, and I really enjoy the sense of the energy that comes out of the card when I pair them up with the sentence at the bottom. You came to serve. Happiness is freedom from fear. This, let me tell you, this deck, at first look, it feels like it's a very powerful deck, very strong, not just beautiful and aesthetically pleasing, because, you know, anyone could tell you that just by looking at it, but by actually holding it in my hands, I can actually feel how powerful this deck is. To overcome, you first have to climb. This is really beautiful. I want to have perhaps a deep dive, do a deep dive on this deck, because it feels like there's different categories of color. It goes from green to blue to purple to, you know, red. So I don't know whether that's done on purpose or not. It feels like it is. I don't think it's random. And as I said, this is a first impression. So obviously, if you have this deck, let me know what you think about it. How do you use it? But yeah, I mainly got it because I really wanted to pair it up with The Devils of Creation by Cilla Conway, and perhaps that will be in my next video. I'm going to post a video with my favorite pairings for the month of October. So it's going to be a monthly feature, my favorite pairings. But I really, at first look, I really enjoyed this deck. So this is the Healing Spirits Oracle by Gordon Smith, and the artwork is by Naomi Walker. So let's have a look at what else we've got, because I still have all the rock pool decks. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to show you the Mythos Tarot guidance from the Greek gods, Helena, Elias. As I said, rock pool. So let's just open this up. So I have seen this one a couple of times before. I think it's already available on Amazon. I'm not entirely sure, because I know that there are a couple of decks today that have not been released yet, at least not in Australia, but Rockpool is releasing. They definitely have decided to abandon Australia, if I can make a joke. But no, I'm kidding. They haven't abandoned Australia, but they definitely preferred the US market. So they're releasing everything first in the US, and then after a few months, you know, in Australia as well. I have to say, as I was saying before, that I had really lovely conversations with everyone that I approached today. Whenever I was saying I have a YouTube channel, and I've been doing this for many years, and not the YouTube, but, you know, reading tarot for over 35 years. I know a thing or two about tarot and oracle decks, and I would love to have a conversation and a chat about Mind, Body, Spirit Festival, and you know, and the tradition of oracle. And everyone has been absolutely lovely, really lovely, except for Rockpool. So that was, and I don't want to have to edit stuff out of this video, so I'm not going to say anything bad. They probably had their reasons, but it was a bit of a humiliating kind of experience, to be honest. And I'm not entirely, I wasn't too happy about that. So I basically got told to speak to the manager. Which is, you know, the manager wasn't there, so I got given an email, but it wasn't. It was the email of the event manager, not her manager, who I was supposed to talk to before having a conversation. And, you know, my bad. It might have been myself presenting it or something that I said, but I literally just loved to have had a chat with them. Regardless of who they were, regardless of the job title, that was really not what I was intending to do. And I just literally wanted to ask them, you know, what they thought about Mind, Body, Spirit, that they've been there forever. And I have actually met a lady that was at the stand, that I've known for a long time, and she recognized me immediately. But she didn't, she felt like she couldn't say anything, and the event manager said that they're not authorized to say anything. So I don't know, I did not want anything official. I literally wanted just a chat, you know, to ask how beautiful it is to find you here. You know, it's fantastic that, because I'm a big supporter of Rockpool, I always defend Rockpool whenever there's a lot of resentment, because there has been. lately, so especially I would say in Australia, because they do, it is an Australian company, but contrary to other Australian publishers, like for example Blue Angel, they released decks first in the US, which is understandable from a business point of view, because obviously the US market is 10 times bigger, if not more than that, than the Australian market. But it doesn't help when, you know, there's a few problems. Like for example, there's a lot of questions about the quality of a few of the oracle decks that literally, the guidebook, which is kept together by literally one stitch. And you know, many people complaining that their decks arrived with a big bow on them, or a few choices on the cardstock, a few choices on the distribution, etc. So I've heard a lot of questions during the years, you know, and I always defended them, and I literally just wanted to present them under a really nice positive light. As you can see now, I have to separate all the cards because the gilding is sticking, but that happens with this kind of gilding, so nothing new there. But unfortunately I couldn't do that, and to be honest with you, it was very humiliating, because I know that I don't have a big channel, and I didn't expect them to you know, speak to me, but at least I don't know, just having a chat. I mean, I am a client, I spend thousands of dollars during the years, you know, throughout the years with Rockpool, so it would have been nice just to say, ah, nice to see you here. Yeah, it's a beautiful festival, and we're happy to be here. And you know, the Australian market is very important, or not. But yeah, nothing doing. Anyway, as I said, I don't want to sound bitter. This is just what happened. But compared to the reception and the welcome that I received from anyone else, you know, no matter what the size of my channel, or no matter what the size of their business was, because they were there and they were very happy to talk about tarot and oracle with me, and you know, and that's okay. I mean, I don't know, I think that this person, the event manager, was very young and possibly not a lot of experience perhaps, and that's, you know, probably she didn't feel confident enough to have a chat, even though I made sure that she understood that it was very informal, and it was just, you know, literally just a chat on, you know, how do you feel about being here today and stuff like that. But I have been working for corporate environments, and it can be very frustrating to navigate, because you can't release any statement, even though Captain said that I wasn't after statements. That's all I have to say with it, because obviously, you know, there's a lot of things going on in the background, as I heard, and I'm not going to disclose that, but I've heard a couple of things from a few wholesalers that we're talking about Rockpool. These are the bags. They're absolutely gorgeous. This tarot deck is not my to my taste. I generally speaking don't really like it when there's so many you know, close-ups on people. I do prefer to have, especially on my minors, for example, I don't mind the court cards, of course, being close-ups is fine, but when you have something like this that feels, it feels like there's a little bit of AI as well, and I'm not sure, I could be completely wrong, but it does feel like there's a little bit of AI, and it's a pity that I couldn't ask, because that was going to be one of the questions, and you know, perhaps at that point, if I had asked that. This is a glorious card, it's absolutely beautiful. So let's have a look, the Six of Cups. So if I had been asking controversial questions about AI, I understand that they would have been shutting up. I literally wanted to know if they were happy to be there. Six of Cups. Cups, 114. Nice book. Four of Cups, Six of Cups. Nemesis, goddess of memory. One of the titans is the goddess of memory, and one of the original elder muses, Mosai. She gave birth to the 9 muses by Zeus, and is an oracular goddess with connections to prophecy and oracles. reason, familiarity, happy and childhood, memories, healing, family, of course, memory, childhood, of course. So it's in relation to, fair enough. So it's basically Mythos Tarot. It's basically referring back to gods and goddesses of the Greek mythology. That's how I understand it. Please don't forget, this is literally a first impression because I've never seen this before. With the goddess of memory in your reading, the veil to the past is thin and memories of it may be strong in your mind. Okay, well, that's fine. Fallen seems to be the reversed meaning of the card. In the fallen position, I think they're referring back to reversed. It's a warning. You're living in a memory. Absolutely, you're stuck in your memory, so you're not going forward. See, I really like it. The images are beautiful, but I have this feeling that it's just too close up to me and for me, and I do prefer it when there's some symbols to remember, to visualize the meaning of the cards. I just want to see if it says anything about AI. Okay, it doesn't say anything about the method used, at least not that I can see in here. And then it talks about the arcanas, major arcanas, minor arcanas. Let's see if it says anything at the end, perhaps. No, let's see about the author. Okay, illustrator. Elena transformed her career as a senior fashion designer, personal dream, forming meaningful art. Working with an array of traditional and modern companies, she has helped to support charities to promote women's rights. Okay, but does it say she lives for her work? Moving, evolving a modern artistic scene, resulted in digital. Okay. So, which has resulted in her having her digital non-fungible token, NFTs, if you're not familiar with that, work acquired by notaries such as Pransky and Associates and Keith Grossman, the president of Time magazine. She exerts herself to ensure a genuine artistic experience and has long been present in the online spiritual and witch community, where her artistic collaborations have allowed countless women to express their identity, not as they are told it should be, but from the deep core of their own self-image, which is fantastic, but it doesn't necessarily say, it just says that it is digital art, I seem to remember, but yes, the NFTs, of course, but it doesn't necessarily say how this deck has been designed. I don't know, I'll do some research. If you have some information about it, please let me know, because I would like to know, obviously. At first look, it does look that like there is a little bit of AI, but it could also be a bit of a reaction, because in some cases we are so, I'm sorry to say, there were so many AI decks today that I've seen at the festival, so many that we're almost traumatized by that. And with that, I mean that we almost expect everything that we see now, unless it specifically says that it's not being realized with the help of AI, it feels almost as if it were. We're almost traumatized to the point that we see AI even when it's not there. And I don't want to make that mistake, so I'm not saying anything. It is a beautiful deck. As I said, not my cup of tea in the sense that these are, the close-ups don't work for me, but it's undeniable that it's absolutely gorgeous. So let me know what you think, because I think this is it's a very recent publication. I don't even know if it's available in the US yet, but I will make sure to link it in the description box below. So this was the Mythos Tarot by Helena Elias. But let's have a look at the other decks. So the next deck I'm going to show you, I am so excited to have this deck, because it's the Magicians, Martyrs and Madmen Tarot by Travis McHenry. So Travis is the author of the Angel Tarot, the Occult Tarot, but also most recently, or at least a year ago, still published by Rockpool, was the Hieronymus Bosch Tarot, which was very interesting. And what else? I think this one originally was an indie deck, and I think that I've seen the Kickstarter edition of this deck. I honestly don't have the Kickstarter edition, or if it was just indie but not a Kickstarter, I still don't have the indie edition. This is the first time that I actually look you know, have a close look at this deck. I am very pleased that it was on sale because it has not been officially released in Australia yet. So I was very happy. Unfortunately, they did not have in bulk of the season of the witches, which, you know, made a lot of people very upset because I literally saw people running to the rock pool desk and asking and being told that no, they don't have it there, and just literally being crushed, and I was crushed as well. But this one made me just as happy, you know, and this is a really good production in the sense that, here we go, here I go again, the Fendi rock pool. But anyway, so this value is exceptional. So you can really tell the two-part box, this part of the box, for example, is very silky, but then you've got some stamping. This is gold stamping, and even the images, you can tell the difference in the material that has been used to print on. And so it's 80 cards, and obviously the guidebook. So let's have a look at the actual deck, or first the guidebook. Okay, so the guidebook doesn't feel super chunky, but that's okay. It's got everything. So we've got a page each for both the major and the minor arcanas. We got a small thumbprint full color, which is always good. And we got, for example, so it's an 80 cards deck, so I'm expecting that there will be alternative cards for a couple of, you know, cards. As a matter of fact, we got the lovers female to female and the lovers male to female. And we've got the names, fantastic, because I wasn't sure that I was going to be able to identify all of the people, you know, definitely the magicians, martyrs and madmen. I mean, you have to identify them. Nero, there you go, of course, the emperor. Nero, it was a nut job, completely crazy. Really, really, the stuff that Nero has done. I remember studying that because, of course, he was a Roman emperor, so we needed to study that at school. Yeah, not a fan of Nero, I have to say, although I do like the name Nero. So let's have a look. Yeah, that's pretty much what we've got for each and every card. And perhaps there's about the illustrator. Christine Gottberg is a Venezuelan artist with a passion for digital design. She has had almost a decade of experience illustrating everything from children's book to government publication. And this is Travis. So if you're not familiar, as I said, many decks. Really, really interesting work. And oh, we've got some pages to annotate something as well if we want. At the beginning, let me see if there's any kind of suggestion for spreads. There's an introduction, of course, how to use the cards, and yes, there's a pentagram spread, which is really interesting. Of course, you've got the elements. Very cool. Very cool, very cool. 3. Oh, of course, magician, martyrs and madmen. And then we go to the cards. Okay, so that's the guidebook, but let's have a look at the cards. So 2-part box with a ribbon. Okay. Okay, so first look, we've got a really good gilding. It's gold, but it's matte, and it doesn't look like the cards, like for example, the Mythos Tarot, all the cards were glued to each other because of the gilding. This one is actually very high quality, feels really high quality. This is the back, so you can also read them in reversals if you want to. There's a couple of chips already, but that's probably due to perhaps transport, you know, these things kind of happen. Hopefully it's just 1 or 2. There's a few cards that are chipped. Okay, I'll see if I can file them because it looks like many of the cards have been cut. I don't know what provoked that, but in any case, let's have a look at the cards. So, cardstock is very nice, very beautiful. Again, the same kind of papery cardstock that we've talked about before. Also very sturdy with a nice bounce to it. So obviously this, wow. I don't know whether this is actually curated art. So if these are existing paintings that have been curated to, you know, for this kind of deck, perhaps not. Wow. Okay. So it's going to be a very interesting deck. I really like also that you not just have the title, because I wouldn't be able to, yeah, you see this one, for example, is Justice. To be honest with you, we have a noose, and that makes me think about the Hangman or the Hanged One, not necessarily to justice, even though justice in many decks refers back to consequences, having to pay up, having to admit responsibility in something. So there may be, it may be accessible to talk about justice with the news, but not necessarily straightforward. But I really like that it tells you who this person is, because in that case, obviously, I don't know, well, I know Jack the Ripper, death. But if you don't know them, obviously you can look them up. Let me just see if, well, I didn't pay attention if the guidebook actually says something about Delphine Lalaurie, for example, for the devil. Let's have a look. The devil. Madame Delphine Lalaurie was born into a wealthy New Orleans family of French Creole origin. She inherited a great amount of wealth and began to... Sorry, that made me laugh, because she inherited a great amount of health and began torturing and killing, as you do. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh. It's actually very sad. Okay, so she was killing her slaves in 1831. She mistreated all of them, whipping them relentlessly for minor offenses or simply because a certain mood had come over her. I'm so sorry that I laughed, but because it's a horrible person. Anyone who dared to disobey was taken to the attic. Okay, probably don't want to start reading from this card, but in any case, I expect this to be the, you know, the leading theme of the deck. I mean, it is supposed to be about people like that, right? So eventually the old cook, who was chained to the stove, decided she would rather die than be tortured any longer and set the house on fire. The flames brought rescuers inside, where they discovered Lalaurie's chamber of horrors in the attic. Okay, so there is deliverance at last. I don't know what to say about this card, but anyway. It's really good that we get a bit of a historical background for each and every one of these characters. I really enjoy that. Of course, this is Rasputin, is quite famous. I have to say, oh, Nicolas Flamel, the very father of alchemy. Well, or Newton, but obviously, you know, it was a massive contributor. Houdini. So it will be very interesting to do. This feels like I could do some kind of a deep dive like the one I've done for the Yokai Yochi, because the Yokai Yochi Tarot by Booba Plague, it's got a different yokai for each and every card. And so since I'm really passionate about Japanese culture, I actually did research, very extensive research on each and every one of the yokais presented in the cards. Richard III, King of Swords, I'll say. I love it. I have to say, I love this deck. I really love it, and I can't, oh, of course, Count Dracula. I can't wait to use it and to see what kind of influences and energies, you know, a deck like this has. So this one, I got it because I really wanted to have the Madhouse Tarot by Eugene Vinitsky. It's the same author as the Venetian Tarot. However, I cannot justify the expense. It's something, I think it's about 170 Australian dollars for me, and then there's an additional 50 for the shipping, and I think it's even out of stock right now. So it's, unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to get a copy anytime soon. So I saw this deck and I thought this could be a valid alternative to that. And for the $25 that I spent on it, I'm quite happy that I got this. So let's move on to other decks. The next deck is actually quite famous, I think, because there used to be a indie edition of this deck that was also being sold through Amazon. And so a few people getting it. This is the Earthborn Oracle by Syrian Shadow, another concept of rebirth and transformation. But this is actually the mass market edition. So it's actually being published by Rockpool. And one of the reasons why, so I did have the indie edition, but I rehomed it. And the reason I rehomed it was that it was way too dark for me. Not in the sense that the energy was dark, but the cards themselves and the artwork was almost impossible to see. So I think I posted a video about it. I don't remember, but I think I did. In which I was saying that I really loved it. And it was very interesting, very deep, very powerful. But if I cannot see what I'm looking at, there's no point for me to keep it. And so that's why I rehomed it. And then I heard that they were going to publish this and they were probably going to tweak the exposure. Sorry, there's my cat in the background, if you can hear him. Chicho, what's wrong? Okay, sorry about that. It's not even food time. I don't know what it's probably jealous that I'm talking to you. So I heard that there was going to be some tweaking. I hope there will be. Very nice feel to the touch, the two-part box. This is the guidebook. There's 42 cards, by the way. It's a very nice guidebook as well. As you can see, we've got a full color thumbprint of the card. You've got the title, you've got a couple of keywords, and then the message, and an affirmation. See, there's still a couple of cards which are very dark, but I'm curious to see. Okay, I'm not going to say anything because this is just a guidebook. So let's have a look at the actual deck, because I would be gutted if it were just as dark as... But it doesn't look like it. It's got a really beautiful teal green gilding. Okay. And these are the backs. If you are into bones like I am, for example, I'm really into skeletons and bones and skulls, and that's because my auntie used to do a lot of bone casting. And I had my set, but I couldn't bring it into Australia, as you can imagine, because it's obviously not, customs would not have been happy about it. I have to say, this one, I remember this card and it was much darker. Oh, okay. I remember this card, and this card you could not see the wolves. So I wish I kept it just to give you a side-by-side comparison. But it's really good news because it's a lot brighter, or at least, you know, they tweaked the exposure or they tweaked the brilliance. Because those cards, this card here, for example, you could not see anything. You couldn't see the moon. You could barely see the wolves. You couldn't see the branches here. This one is still a little bit dark, to be honest. It does not show on camera. On camera, what happens is that this is an iPhone, the one that I'm using to film. So an iPhone is already, it's not filming in RAW format. It's already transforming into JPEG, or if it's a photo, obviously, or MPEG. And what happens is that it's already applying a few tweaks here and there. Like, for example, it's sharpening the images, and it's also doing some color balancing, I suppose. Therefore, if I look at the same images through the lens, I actually see that there's a lot more contrast than there is in the actual deck. So just for you to know, for example, this card, you can barely see the branches here. You can definitely the branch here, but on, you know, through the camera, you can see everything. I am quite happy. I'm not being picky. I'm actually really happy. They could have gone a little bit brighter here, but that's fine. But okay, so there was a massive debate. I don't know if you heard. A few people talked about this deck on their channel. Many of them really, you know, giving it really bad reviews because there's a lot of skulls, and all of the skulls come from stock images. So in many cards, you will see the same skull repeated. I personally don't have a problem with that. a skull is a skull is a skull. I don't know how many different types of skull you can have. I did have a problem with the cards being so dark that I couldn't see anything. So in this case, this is a really gorgeous card, and I could only see the roses here, and I could barely see the wolves. None of this was visible. So because this is the adversary card, obviously you needed to see, but each and every card, regardless of the title of the card, you need to see what the card is about. You need to see the artwork, and you need to, you know, it needs to be evocative. And I understand that the meaning of, you know, the creator was to have a dark deck, and I'm absolutely for it. But that felt more like it was an actual production mistake. And the fact that we're seeing this deck, this one here, which is a mass market production, and there's definitely been a tweak in the, you know, the color balance of the exposure, makes you think that perhaps it was a production mistake. Otherwise, you know, the author would have wanted it to be the same, even in the mass market edition. In any case, I love this deck. I really like it. I understand that it's digital collage, and in many cases there's a lot of stock images that have been used. I am perfectly fine with that. That doesn't bother me at all. And as a matter of fact, I love it because it's so dark and powerful. The titles are very clear, but you also have the keywords here, which is very nice as well. So fate, obviously you have alignment, decisive moments, opportunistic events. I like it. So very well done, and it was a very affordable price as well. So I'm quite happy I got it. This is the Earthborn Oracle. So this one here this is the Witching Hour Oracle. Awaken Your Inner Magic. This is by Laurie-Anne Anderson, who's the author also of the Seasons of the Witch Oracles. Together with Juliet Diaz, and then, you know, the first 3 or 4 releases, so Sawa, Eula, and Maybon, were with honestly, I don't remember the name of the illustrator, but there was an illustrator for the first 3, and then they changed illustrator for the in bulk edition. But Laurie-Anne Anderson was part of the team, and he still is part of the team. This deck, though, is illustrated by Olivia Berkey. So I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but this is how it's spelled. And this was an impulse buy, because, I don't know, I felt like I really wanted a lot of decks today. I felt like I really wanted to go shopping for decks. And I was so crushed that they didn't have in bulk at the Rockpool stand, that, you know, it felt like, oh, okay, you don't have, you know, the one that I made all the way to the exhibition center for, and then I felt like, okay, well, I'm going home then, which is very, you know, very stupid. And obviously I had really lovely conversation with everyone else. But I saw this one and I thought to myself, I probably want to check this out, and it was still $25. This is a very recent production as well. I don't know whether it has been released in Australia or not. That's very nice. Now, okay, as always, 2 parts book. We've got the booklet here. So this one has got a few spreads right at the beginning. Quite a few of them, which is always nice. I really love the way in which they're doing this antiquating of the pages on the guidebooks. And then it starts talking about the cards, and we've got a image of the card, and we've got keywords. And, oh, this could be interesting. It says here, Tarot Companion, 9 of Cups. So for number 6, the Witching Hour, the keywords are wish card, true intent, manifestation, favorable circumstances, and obviously that's referred back to the 9 of Cups, because these are keywords that you can definitely use for the 9 of Cups as well. That is interesting. I've never seen an oracle doing something like that. And then we got Cloak and Dagger, and as a Tarot Companion we got the 7 of Swords, but we also have companion cards to the Grey Broken Branch, which are actually oracle cards. Really cool, really cool. I love it when they do this kind of work because it's like learning something new and it's something different, and I really like it because, you know, it stimulates your brain, etc. Really, really cool. Absolutely love that. And, you know, this was what makes me happy. It makes me happy that I actually got it because I wasn't going to. But then I thought to myself, you know, you're here and actually save some money to spend today. So let's have a look at, let's hope I'm not gonna cut myself. So as you can see, it's literally an unboxing because it's still factory wrapped. Okay, so this is the deck. It has been edged in a what looks like a canary yellow or a pale kind of lime. I can't really tell. That's really beautiful. Okay, so this cardstock is semi-gloss. Not my favorite, but that's okay. I like it because this way the colors really pop. And the artwork. So the witching hour, that's the favorable circumstances. I like that there's not just the title, but also at least one keyword. And I will see, that's what I like about studying something, because I will always remember the Nine of Cups. Now that I've seen that this card is actually associated to that tarot card, it actually makes it easier to remember what, you know, the association is and what the keywords are and what the meaning of the card is. These are a bit sticky, unfortunately. I hope it doesn't damage. These are the backs, by the way, really beautiful. Okay, so when I see something like that, I want to read all of it. Not now, obviously. This is a really beautiful deck. Let me say, I am really glad that I got it. I wasn't going to, but I thought to myself, just pick another one. And I'm really glad I did, because I really like it. So there you go, the Seasons of the Witch, honoring cycles. I wished I had in bulk, but anyway, it's not long to come. I think, you know, the US has already been released, as they always do, and then in Australia probably in a couple of months will be released as well. They used to have, you know, early releases in Australia when they were going to these festivals, but they may have received, I don't know, different directives, unfortunately. We could have talked about it. Salt boundaries. I like that. Secrets, the blood trail. Really beautiful. I'm very happy I got this deck. I'm very excited about starting to use it. I'm thinking already about, you know, spreads that I can use it for. Really, really happy about this one. Now, that was it when it comes to decks, but I actually had, as I said before, I had really lovely conversations with a lot of people, and so let me show you what I got. So first of all, let me show you this because it's absolutely fantastic. It's called Love Alley. These are artisan produced candles, and I had a conversation with the lovely ladies at the store, and basically we had a bit of a conversation about, you know, what's going to happen. Why do people feel like they want to find a way to connect to their spiritual selves, you know, after the pandemic especially. Look how beautiful the packaging is. I absolutely love it when they put so much care on something. And I didn't spend an incredible amount of money. These are very affordable candles, but they still put a lot of care because obviously it's their business and they want people to be happy with them and they want them to come back, so it makes sense. So I bought two. This is a beautiful skull. And by the way, these candles are perfumed, so they're actually really, really nice. Not just because of the shape. There you go. So this is a really beautiful skull. Very affordable, Love Alley. And it smells really, really nice. And to give you a bit of an information about how to care for the candle, for example, in this case, they told me that after a couple of days of using this, the flame will go down, and so you will see the light coming out of the eyes and the nose. So it's going to be really cool. And then I got this one as well, which is tiny but very sweet, very cute, and it's a pumpkin. There you go. So that's in theme for Halloween. Then I went to this shop Bespoke and Car, where I was really interested in talking about white sage, and they actually gave me this, which is very interesting. There's also an affirmation, universal prayer to say whilst smudging, smudge stick. So this is really interesting because I want to do a bit of cleansing to the place where I'm moving to. So the good news is that, if you haven't heard, we finally found a place to go, and that lifted a huge weight off my shoulders, because that was becoming quite worrying. And so I just want to do a bit of cleansing, and obviously, this is beautiful sage that I found at this place, Bespoke and Co. And I also was able to buy a, because I didn't have it before. So this is all ethically sourced, of course, because, you need to be careful about these things. But so this is an abalone shell. Really beautiful, by the way. I don't know if you can tell from the camera, but the colors of the mother pearls are just absolutely fantastic. So iridescent, very beautiful. And so this is, I don't know if you're familiar with smudging, but basically you need an abalone shell or something that doesn't catch fire, obviously, because then, you're just putting, when you're done burning your sage, you're just putting it like this. And that keeps it from, well, first of all, from setting fire to your place, of course, but also it retains a nice smell, and also it retains a nice color, so this one doesn't get ruined. No matter how many times you use it, this kind of material doesn't get ruined. So this was something that I bought for myself. And I thought, that's something that I want to do when I move to the new place, just to cleanse the area and the energy. So another really interesting store I found at MBS Sydney during the weekend is Illumitorium. As you can see, let me just zoom in. This is their contact. As always, I will link everything in the description box below. So I had a really nice chat with Amanda. And she told me that, they only just started the business about 6 months ago, but it's really picking up. And basically, as you can see from the business card, they have a really nice collection of crystal lamps, terrariums, crystals, and oddities. And we also discussed the fact that Sydney, for the first time in, ever, is going to have an expo which is called Oddities and Curiosities, the first weekend in December. And this is a typical, let's say, expo that has been, growing, existing and growing in the United States for the last few years. But for the first time, they're actually coming to Sydney. And that makes everyone really excited, especially when we talk about bones. So I've said in a couple of videos before that my auntie she showed me mostly how to do bone throwing or bone casting. So it's a method of divination with it's a very ancient method, let's say, and it consists on throwing on, it can be a reading mat or perhaps something you've created yourself with different let's say areas corresponding to different answers to possible questions, and depending on where the bones fall when you throw them, then you can actually build up some kind of a response. Or in other cases, it depends on how the bones lay down. When you throw them out, do they fall in a certain way? Do they fall perhaps straight or horizontal or vertical? And all these kind of really interesting kind of details about this practice. So we talked about that, and I was telling her that it's been very difficult for me to ethically source animal bones in Australia, because what I mean with ethically source, it means that these animals could not have been killed for the purpose of, for example, for meat, or in any case, they cannot have been killed on purpose for anything that is used for humans. And that will obviously also include leather, for example. So the animal needs to, let's say, die in an ethical way. And then obviously the bones also need to be sourced in a very ethical way. So Amanda told me that she has a really cool collection of skulls, and she told me that she's actually imported them. And I bought this from her, from a shop, and this is actually coyote bone, and from the paw. And obviously, being it's a coyote, I knew that we don't have coyotes here in Australia, so obviously it had to be an imported kind of bone. And this will be, you know, I am actually trying to build up my bone throwing set or kit again after I had to dispose of it when I moved to Australia, because obviously, as you can imagine, you cannot import it. It will be stopped at customs, it will be confiscated and destroyed, and you will receive a really hefty fine. But if you follow protocol as Amanda does, and if you follow procedure, you may eventually get back to, you know, your 6 or 7 pieces of bones that you can use for bone casting. And as soon as I get that, I promise that I will film a video on, you know, explaining how I actually do that. So this is one of the examples of the many things that they sell in their shop, and this is really quite interesting, I have to say. So yeah, check it out. They have a really nice website, and if you live in Sydney or if you're coming to Sydney, just don't forget they'll be at the Oddities and Curiosities Expo the first weekend of December. Let's have a look at some other things that I collected during the weekend at MBS. I had a very interesting chat with Dawn from CherokeeWitch.com. So Dawn is originally from Florida. However, in her blood, she has Native American ancestors and also Irish ancestors. And you can imagine how interesting that combination is, because she was actually telling me that she grew up with both these really strongly rooted kind of cultures, you know, in her background. And she also joked by saying that there weren't that many differences between her Irish cultural heritage and the Native American cultural heritage. Obviously, I concur, because there's a lot of things. I've said that many times whenever I was looking back at my own cultural heritage, you know, which is also part Irish, part Italian. And I was just noticing how many things are in common with, for example, Native American practices or Northern European practices, or, you know, Slavic practices, or even Eastern, something like Chinese or Korean practices as well. So what Dawn is doing, she is creating these really lovely boxes, and there's different ones depending on what you want to achieve with them. And she told me that she's actually using a very interesting combination of ritual and therefore talisman, but also you know, the creation of the spell also is founded on neuro-linguistic program. So it's something that is actually, so she was really enthusiastic in explaining to me that it's something that really works, in the sense that it's not, you're not just relying on magic in this case, but you're also relying on neuro-linguistic program, which is actually activating some neural pathways in the brain when you actually follow through correctly, let's say. So since I told Dawn that I'm moving on Saturday, next Saturday, and I was asking for something to use in the new home, and she gave me the energy cleansing spell box, and I'm really excited to have a look at it here with you. So we are going to do an unboxing. So that looks really cool. Okay, so that's a bit of an introduction, for example, here, as you can see. And these are spell ingredients and representations. Obviously, I'm not gonna talk about all of these ones, but these are basically what I'm expecting to see in the box, and there's a bit of an explanation for each and every ingredient or representation. And then if we open this, then we find here what I expect to be the actual spell. Yeah, that is the actual spell. So it looks complicated, but I can assure you it's not. It's just that it's actually really well explained. And the reason behind that is that, you know, we need to be very grounded and aware whenever we are concentrating and focusing on something as important as energy cleansing. So I'm actually very excited about performing this. And oh, there's a kitty cat. Look at that. Of course, I love it. So this is what you can expect to be in the box, depending obviously on what you decide to buy. There's also, for example, abundance spell boxes, or love spell boxes, or protection spell boxes. But if you go to her Facebook page, you know, you'll be able to see that. So what I can see here is a really beautiful you know, description of the crystals that I would find in the box. So we've got a labradorite, aventurine, agate, and malachite. We've got a feather, and so obviously we didn't talk about it, but all of this has been ethically sourced, of course. And we've got a few things here. So we got butterly charm, tide kissed seashell, we got a candle for ritual, blue sodalite, organic bay leaves, a talisman. So that'd be really, really cool. So I'm not going to open these because I'm actually going to do that as soon as we move into the new place. A butterfly charm, white sage incense, of course, for purification, and Himalayan salt crystals. So as you can see, it's a very interesting combination, and every single one of these boxes will have a very specific combination of ingredients and representations that will focus on what you actually been asking, what your you know, your purpose for these spell boxes is. And she was very kind, and she also gave me a couple of candles, additional candles here. So brown is actually absorbing all negative vibes, so I will make sure to burn this one. You have to let them burn to the end and not blow them out. So as I said, you know, you can check her out on Facebook. She is Dawn from Cherokee Witch. So something else I'm really excited about is these creations from Little Design. So these are hand-carved soul crystals, and they come from the southern part of Iran. This company is managed by two sisters, and they have a really fantastic business. And I may say I was really captivated by the beauty of what I saw. It's not just the fact that obviously, you know, it's the energy of the provenance of the soul crystal, but it's also the fact that, for example, I was talking, it's two sisters, and their names are Dorsa and Diba. And I was talking to Dorsa, and basically she was telling me that they do these creation on custom, in the sense that they don't necessarily have a design in mind when they have to create one of these. They just literally look at the piece of rock that they have, and then they just carve it the way they feel that it should be carved. Now I'm just going to do this so I can show you how beautiful this is when it's got a candle inside. And hopefully the camera will show you that, because in some cases it's a bit difficult. So imagine, but I can show you the footage that I took from their shop. It was absolutely incredible. As you can see, they come in all sorts of forms and sizes, and they have obviously different prices. They do ship globally. So they were telling me that the majority of the overseas orders come from Europe, but they can ship to the US as well. As always, I'll make sure to put the description box below with the link of their shop. So if you want to eventually get one of these things, you can get in touch with them rather easily. So this is really beautiful. I was just trying to let the candle burn a little bit just to show you. but let's see if I do this. Probably, there you go. You can see how beautiful this is and how it looks like a rose. Now, I was very excited to get one of these because to me, when I saw their shop from, let's say, I don't know, 20-30 meters away, I actually thought that these were creations made out of the desert rose. So I don't know if you're familiar with that, but the desert rose is a formation, a crystal formation that you can actually find in Northern Africa, for example, or in desertic regions, and it looks really, really beautiful. And there's a story there. So I've always had, you know, a soft spot in my heart for desert roses because it was one of my dad's favorite things to have. And whenever I went to a place that had a desert, I was trying to make sure to buy a few of the desert roses that you could find there as a gift for him. And as a result, he had quite the collection. And I remember he really liked the ones from the Sahara Desert. And when I saw this, it reminded me of that. And when I saw that it wasn't actual desert roses, but it's something that it's even more unique than that. So basically this is hand carved, as I was explaining before, and it retains a lot of really positive, beautiful energy. So these retains all the properties of the salt crystals. So if you already have, for example, a salt crystal lamp, you will see that this is actually the same kind of, let's say, energy. But it's also, so I'm reading directly from the brochure here. For example, in the quiet embrace of salt stones, we find solace, believing in their healing touch. They purify the air and bring calm to our soul. They hold the power to soothe, to nurture, and to restore. Trust in their grace and seek wisdom in your journey. May you also uncover spiritual depth and divine insight in their gentle presence. I can assure you 100% these are absolutely beautiful. The creations is just mind-blowing. The way in which you can see the veins, for example, of the crystal. I don't know if you can see because perhaps the camera is not, you know, showing you how beautiful this actually is. You can see a little bit here, for example. But this is just unique. I've never actually seen anything like it, and I highly recommend it. Even to the touch is very grounding. It's very powerful, and it would definitely be something really beautiful to have, you know, next to your tarot and oracle deck collections. And something else I'm really, really excited about is this deck. So I was doing my rounds and looking at other shops that I may have missed, and just to be able to give you a really good and in-depth perspective of what you can have at these mind, body, spirit festivals. And I saw you know, a couple of people having a look at the deck, and I saw immediately my antennas went up. You know, being a collector. And so I just started having a look at this. This is called the Art of Life and Curiosity Reflection cards, creating mental health, well-being, and life balance exploration. This has been written and illustrated by Mairead Ashcroft. Now, Mairead was there with her husband. They were absolutely lovely, and they're based in Melbourne. And as you can see, this business is well established. It's been running since 2012, and it was absolutely incredible to actually look at the way in which Mairead has created this deck. The artwork, it's just stunning. So as always, this is the website, but in any case, as always, I will link the website in the description box below. I just really wanted to show you the cards. So this is a two-part box. It's a very beautiful touch feel to it. If you open it, there's a little bit of a, let's say, a little white book that it gives you a bit of an instruction on how to use the cards, but I highly recommend buying the actual book that comes with the deck, or rather, sorry, it doesn't come with the deck. You can buy them, you know, aside. But the book should be used together with the deck. This is a very recent creation. I was talking to Mairead about it, and I think that she's these days setting up shop to also be able to ship globally. This deck immediately caught my attention because of the, as I said, really fantastic artwork. It's absolutely incredible. The way in which she actually achieves these images is but it's really mind-blowing. So she uses all sorts of different techniques. And one thing that I wanted to show you was, and I asked her respectfully if she was okay with sharing some pages from her own personal journal, which is what you can see now. And this journal was very thick because there is so much ink, but also you can actually tell the energy that goes into the creation of this artwork. And the reason why this was so eye-catching was because you can actually really feel the person behind the artwork. Now, going back to this, to the deck, when I saw it, I immediately knew that I really wanted it. It's really beautiful. As you can see, for example, there are keywords. There's obviously the artwork, there are keywords. But what's really important is to note that there's a set of questions at the bottom that could be also used as journal prompts like Mart does. So we've got here, for example, just one card, summer. What move do you carry about summer? Are there protective factors that you may take around summer themes? Do you have any anxieties about the summer season that need addressing? Is your inner critic active in summer? If so, are there elements of truth amongst the lies that your critic is telling you? This is incredibly helpful as a journal prompt, but also for meditation and also for introspection. And let me tell you, I am definitely going to use these cards with my trauma and grief clients, because I really do believe that I recognize most of these questions are the questions that I myself ask my clients, and it's something that is incredibly cathartic and very interesting, and it's got a lot of grounding energy but also liberating energy and releasing and cleansing energy as well, and that's very, very important. But one thing that you know me, that I'm not just the healer, but I'm also the person that really, really loves tarot decks and oracle decks. And one thing that I wanted to show you is how well this deck pairs up with another recent acquisition, which is the Yoga Tarot. So the Yoga Tarot is by Massimiliano Filodoro and Adriana Farina. This is a recent publication, but I believe that originally there used to be another Yoga Tarot by Los Carabeo that had gone out of print. I believe I've heard about this from Annette at the Project Refined Life channel. And she's also, you know, she's a yogi, so obviously she would have been interested in this deck. And I remember her saying that she had given up, I believe, on acquiring this deck because it had gone out of print. And then, you know, when a deck goes out of print, it just sometimes it sells, you know, the secondhand ones sell for really crazy prices. And I think that she got the new copy as well. I got it because as soon as I saw this deck, Mart's deck, I immediately thought about the Yoga Tarot, and I just had to have it. It's sometimes I do actually buy decks because they pair up so well together. So I'm just going to let you have a look at how beautiful these two are, because it's just something that I really appreciated immediately. It's something that sparked, you know, that kind of interest that I always had, that kind of keen eye that I always have whenever I feel that there's two decks that when they pair up, they not only complement each other, but they actually give you the possibility to do an even deeper kind of work than the one you're doing. And I think that it's a gift, to be honest, to be gifted these two, to have the possibility to do these kind of pairings. It's a gift that we need to, you know, be grateful for, because it's not just the power of one deck, and it's not just summed up to the power of another deck. It's just much more than that. You immediately have access to so many other things, so many other possibilities, and the energy is not just double, it's actually much more than that. So if you ever do this kind of work, I'm really interested to know, for example, what do you expect when you use an oracle and a tarot in a pairing like this? Do you do meditation? What do you expect in the sense of cleansing, for example, energy or practice? or do you just do it for aesthetic? And that's absolutely fine, because in many cases, for example, for me, I just really like to look at the colors and how these echoes and resonances between each other, and finding similarities between the artwork, the light work, the brush stroke, and also perhaps in some cases a directionality. Where are the characters of the tarot looking at? Are they looking towards the oracle? Are they looking away from the oracle, etc.? So I usually read the keyword that is on the oracle card, because that is the focus of my attention. So in this case, it's mind, and it's really fantastic artwork, if I may say. For the time being, I don't look at the questions. I just want to see where this reading wants me to focus on. So I need to focus on the mind between the Star and the Eight of Wands. So this is beautiful because the mind is the focus. In my case, the mind, having obviously my birth chart is 95% airs, air planets, which is fine, and air and water. So obviously the Star is my favorite major arcana. It was because it's the major arcana of my zodiac sign, which is Aquarius. So in my case, what I will do is I get advantages from the fact that I focus on the versatility of the mind and the possibility that the mind gives you to know things that can improve your life, and use that. The Star seems to be telling me to use my mind in such a way that is actually not, you know, creating criticism. It's creating encouragement, it's creating support, and it's creating movement. So the movement comes with the association with the Eight of Wands, which is in this case this card here. So I see this as something that I can really work with. It's something that will definitely be part of my personal practice from now on. And as I said, oh, look at this beautiful card. This card is called Recovery. It's absolutely gorgeous. I remember, this is very emotional for me, because I remember when I was talking to one of my closest friends, and she unfortunately she had stage 4 stomach cancer, and unfortunately she passed away. And we were talking about everything. We were talking about life, and she was really scared. And she knew that she could talk to me because I have been dealing with these kind of end of life situations before. And so I'm not afraid of talking to someone who's going through that, because they need to talk to someone. And most of the time people run away. I don't do that. It's very heavy on me, but for someone that I love, it's not heavy at all. It's being there for them, and knowing together that what they're going through is part of life, part of their life, and part of my life as well, especially when it was in the case of my mom. So in this case, I remember her telling me in the moments in which she was most scared, I asked her to find something visual to tell me, to refer to as the situation she felt she was in. And she told me that she felt like she was a broken toy. She was a broken toy. She felt like she was like a broken toy. And that was very moving, very touching. And I'm, you know, looking at this, this is a broken toy. This is a damaged toy. You can see the band-aids on the forehead, for example, and the sling on the arm. And, you know, if we look at this situation here, we see how difficult it is, this recovery, because the Nine of Wands is the energy of resilience, but you're also really, really tired. So in the Nine of Wands tell you to hang in there, because you're on your way. You're doing everything on your own. But we also have the moon, and the moon is also reminding us, and this is a really beautiful moon, because as you can see, there is the reflection of the person looking at themselves on the water, and the reflection on the water is a kind of an older kind of self. So that to me is continuity. Okay, this is continuity. So recovery is continuity, but it also points out at how tired that makes you. And that's absolutely fine. It's fine to feel tired. It's fine sometimes to just want to rest. That's something that I really believe people in recovery, whether it's a physical or mental recovery, should really understand that you don't have to push it. You don't have to be too hard on yourself, because that's not going to work. I love also the sleep card with the dog. So I really like this deck. It's very beautiful. It pairs up really well with the yoga tarot, and I'm so very happy that I found Right, because I really want, you know, everyone out there to be able to use this deck, because it feels really powerful as well. So as I said, I'm just gonna link everything in the description box below, and I'm definitely gonna spend, you know, as much time as I need with these two decks together, because they're just a joy to use together. Look at how beautiful the colors are. It's even the same colors. It's unbelievable. It's crazy. It's not always the same artwork, because as I said, Mart is actually let's say from a multimedia, let's say, kind of artist. So she uses different methods for her artwork, but the result is just really incredible, and I really like it. So that was it for today. Thank you so much for staying with me till the end of this video. It really means a lot to me when you comment on my videos, when you share them. It's always nice because it makes me feel like we're all part of a nice community, and it's something that really makes my day. So looking forward to hear from you. More to come. Have a great day.